Yes, let's talk about men using paternity leave just to create more work for women. Rather than actually taking leave to help the women they knocked up, to help the literal baby that they kind of created. I mean, they just, and then, she did all the work. But so many men use paternity leave to create more work for the mother of their children and, according to this comment, the mother of her mother. Okay, let's just read this comment before I get into how worthless so many men are on paternity leave. I love policy. I love policy change. We need policy change. But without the entitlement change, without men really dealing with their crap, whatever is leading to their addictions or their whatever they're doing that they're not taking care of themselves and their mental health, they need to be dealing with that. And at the same time, they need to be unpacking all of this entitlement to free labor of women. They can be, I'm a leftist, I hate exploitation labor, except women in my life. I'll exploit that as much. Oh, women at work, they'll make the women take notes, get the coffee, blah, blah, blah. You do all the extra stuff. You organize stuff. They do that to their wives, they do it with their sisters, they do it with their moms, they do it with their daughters, they do it with anybody, any woman. They will put endless labor. Rams, hello, Love is Blind. Rams is, he's a perfect example of one of these men who believes in policy change and believes in liberation and believes in except for the people he actively is exploiting, which is women in his life. Right? So let's read this comment. This is one of my mutuals. Go follow her if you don't already. I love her stuff. This was on a video I did about a Swedish man who wrote an essay about how he's just like, he's made some mistakes, but he's a better dad than his father, even though he abandoned his kids to go ski and run marathons and all kinds of things. He was getting paid, paternity leave, paid time off, a ton of time off. And he's going to help, his wife, newborn baby. And he's like, but my masculine calling is to go ski. I've got to do this. I need to feel like a man because parenthood is boring. Yeah, no hint, Sherlock. No hint. Babies are so boring. They're boring and exhausting at the same time. I don't have a baby. I don't want a baby. I'll never have a baby. I'm too old now. Thank God. But I was a nanny. And when I was a nanny for a while, I was like, dang, this is so boring, and yet I'm so tired, right? There is a suffocation that comes from my understanding of mothers. It's exhausting. You feel claustrophobic. You feel like brain dead because you want like a conversation with other adults. You have all these things. And then this man experienced it for a little bit of a while, just a tiny bit, and was like, God, I gotta go skiing because I can't handle it anymore. So I'm gonna show some examples of the way men just don't care that this is impacting the woman who made this baby and the one who's nursing this baby and doing all the things for the baby. But I feel claustrophobic, I gotta go ski, right? But what happens is that these men, no matter how progressive they are, in theory, they will always create more work for the woman that they're married to or dating or whatever, and the women in her life. Because look at this, look what happened. Work colleague took paternity leave and then spent most of it on vacation while his mom helped his mom helped his wife. Oh, so it's not even her mom, it's his mom. His mom has to come in and save the day because her son won't do crap, I guess. He came back surprised that his wife wanted a divorce. Oh, I love that ending. I love that right there. As frustrating as that comment is, I love that she was like, oh yeah, this is how you are? You're already like this? You're probably not going to get better. Screw you. I'm going to show some more other comments. But I also, one of the reasons why I'm so frustrated with this is because it's men who are on paternity leave. It is men who are on unemployment. Not all, but so many men, if they don't have someone telling them what to do, because you know why you will never convince me that men are good leaders is because I know lots of women, including myself, who've been on unemployment at one time. During the writer's strike in 2008, I think it was, or whatever it was. When I was in New York, I was working in the film industry and then it just died. And so I was like, oh my God, thank God I had a job that gave unemployment benefits for a while. You know what I did? I created a whole new career of like, that's when all of this stuff, it was hard in the beginning because like, what do I do with all this time? It was really frustrating feeling not having a schedule, like having to be discipline myself. That's what it comes down to is discipline. I had to really, create a schedule for myself. And it's hard, especially if you have ADHD and all this other stuff. But the amount of things that every woman that I know, and I'm not saying all women, but every woman I know, when she has free time. Even if she's not doing anything, she's still doing something. She's working on herself. She's going to the gym. She's working on her health. She's working on her friendships. She's working. She's cleaning. She's like, one of my friends took a year off. She created a whole, made sure that she got off she got up at 8 a.m. every single day, Monday through Friday. She never let herself sleep in past 8 a.m. unless she was like on a vacation or something, because she knew that you're going to go crazy if you don't have that. You have to discipline yourself. She ran a marathon. She trained for, she was single, had no obligations, and so she traveled. She had the best year ever, right? And she created an online Etsy store where she sold keychains shaped like, where is it? I'm going to show you. Shaped like clits. These right here. She made a ton of these. She made these not just to sell, but she made them for me. I have one. Anthony has one. I have two, actually. And they were fun. It's like she just did fun, creative stuff. One of my other friends, when she had 2 years off, she worked her butt off and then took 2 years off. She traveled around the world. She listed all the stuff she got done in that year. And I was like, those 2 years. And I was like, yeah, I don't know a single man who would do all that unless he's a very disciplined man. And not many men are disciplined because they are followers and they're used to someone telling them what to do. So they need a job more than anybody. And that's another reason why they're so terrible at home, is they're used to someone telling them what to do. If they don't have someone telling them what to do, they're just video games, work off on their phone, sleep till 3, just whatever. They're used to someone mommying them and parenting them, whether it's someone at work. Sorry, I'm trying to get the dog and trying to get Mose in there. Someone at work telling them what to do. But do you know how much for a leader has to be self-disciplined. A leader has to be able to say no to things that are like easy and short term and really have like long-term vision. And we know that men don't plan. They don't plan anything. Maybe they'll plan stuff just for like their own fun and enjoyment. But in general, if there's one thing that women have learned online in the last few years especially, is that men are not planning birthday parties. They're not planning vacations. They're not planning dates. They're not planning anything. They're not financially planning. So many of them, unless they have been taught to do this very intentionally by their parents, or they taught themselves to do this, or they have disciplined themselves, or they have something driving them. A lot of men have this. Live in today, live for the now. That's what Ram said too. I'm gonna do a whole video on that. The way he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I try to be in the moment." You know how many men just brag about how they can be in the moment, and they're just like judge us for always. Why do you think we think in the future so much? Why do you think we are always looking into the future? Because we are the ones most impacted by things going wrong. Right? When it comes to a couple, like anything he does that sucks, I'm going to, like even if he does something that has nothing, if he has an affair, who's going to pay the price? I will. Right? The women, the wives are always going to pay the price of what that man is doing. So she has to keep him in line. She has to make sure he eats well, because he just won't go to the doctor if she doesn't plan his appointments. He'll eat. I worked craft services in the film industry. Do you know how many men would come up to me and at my table? There's all these healthy options, and they come up and they grab a donut. And they're like 50, and they're, not so in great shape. And they go, "Don't tell my wife." And I'm like, your wife has to tell you not to eat that? Is this a secret? Do you live with a police officer? Like, what? I was so confused because I wasn't really dating at that time. I didn't understand how men work and how they make us parent them. And so paternity leave. If you don't have somebody who is like really, really wants to make your life better, he's going to make it worse. And maternity leave, he's going to make your life worse. Let's look at some comments. So, by the way, this is the name of the article, by the way. It's in The Guardian. Look at this one comment I got. "All the climbers in my circle left for trips to South America during their year of paid paternity. Just an extra long holiday for them." This person says, "I live in the Nordics. So much of the gender equality here is just a facade designed to make women do more and ask less because we're supposed to be equals now." By the way, I did live in Sweden for a year, but that was back in like 2000 or something. And I was in college. I was doing an exchange or whatever. So I don't even really know enough about Sweden to speak on that. But I do know that they pride themselves on there being like, there is, because of policy, there is so much. It's so different there in a lot of amazing ways. So different there. And you can change all the policy you want, but if the man still feels entitled and feels like he's entitled to women's bodies, women's labor, women's everything, to the whole world, they could just be, the king baby. All the policy in the world ain't going to change anything for those men. They will never do anything. Don't get me wrong. Policy is important. Please don't think that I'm not saying policy isn't super important. By the way, these elections are coming around the corner. Please vote. I don't care if you don't like her. Vote. God, I don't like some of the policies, a lot of the policies, but I don't want people less vulnerable than me to die. I don't want women dying in abortions. God. So I'm sorry if I've talked about this in some videos, but for anyone new here, I'm voting in Florida, so my vote counts more than, it would in another state. But I did my research for all the local elections too. I know who all those people are, and I'm voting. Are you? I don't think I've ever liked any person I've ever voted for. I don't need to like them. They're not my friend. I'm here to push them to do the right thing, but I'm not voting for somebody who's going to make everything worse. That's for sure. I don't know them. Do you? I don't know them. They work for us. I'm not hiring a psychotic employee. Anyway, I tried to black out people's names, and I don't know if y'all want you to be anonymous or not. My husband also had a month of paternity leave. First week he wanted to play video games. I told him to go back to work. Do you know how many women just want these men to go back to work because they're so not helpful? My ex-husband had a month of paid paternity leave while I had unpaid maternity. Ugh. Imagine that. He's getting paid and you're not even getting paid. He had a staycation with me catering to him and a newborn. I had to extend my leave because of a C-section. This is so much worse when women have a C-section. They can they're not even supposed to drive for a while. They're not supposed to lift anything. Most of my friends who are moms ended up having C-sections, not necessarily because they wanted them either. And holy crap, I had no idea that it's a major surgery. They make it sound like they just go in, blip, no. Their guts are on the table. I had a 4-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a newborn in peak COVID. My husband took a 2-week fishing trip to a COVID hot zone 1,000 miles away. He got mad when I made him test and quarantine before coming home. To be honest, life is way easier when he is out of state. My workload decreases by at least 50%. He hates when I say that if he doesn't want to, pick up after himself. This is why I have a friend right now who just had a baby by herself, planned single motherhood. She is living her best life. I'm not saying it's easy, but she is going on trips. She to not be raising 2 babies at the same time. And also as someone who was raised by a single mom, you will never convince me that having a dad in the home actually benefits the child. If he is not an active participant in a really loving influence, if he's not loving on his wife, if he's not loving on his kids, if he's not super active, he might as well not be there. That's why this whole 2-parent home, why? They have an extra child. Come on, we know that. My ex took his paternity leave in the summer so he could have a longer summer. I paid all the bills for 3 months postpartum so my partner could stay home with me and help me with the baby, and he spent most of that time sleeping. He's just so tired from watching you do all this work. I love this comment. I heard someone say that to the effect that men want kids the way kids want puppies, and I think that's pretty accurate. Ask any person who's ever had a puppy. I say this as somebody, I wanted a dog. I waited until I was 43 or 4 to get a dog. I had no idea how much work this dog is. Money, work. I love you so much. It's worth it. Okay, he can't hear me. He doesn't care. But changed my life. And I'm not a child. And I'm a woman. So if I was unprepared for this as an adult, imagine how delusional children are with puppies. That's what men are with babies. But at least kids have a good excuse. Men don't. My brother-in-law wanted nothing to do with caring for his son after his delivery. My sister flew me. Oh God, here we go again. My sister flew me and our mom down to help with her recovery. It was shocking, and I never forgave him for that, nor should you. I want to make one more point on this before I read some more comments, and then read a few statistics to back this up. I was out having coffee with my new friend. I've made friends with a bunch of golden girls here in my neighborhood, and I am so proud of myself for putting myself out there and going on coffee dates and going and having these adventures. There's one lady in particular, her and I go out and we talk about feminism, and she basically reminds me of an older version of myself. And we were having the coffee, and there was it was a very busy day, and there was a few kids crying around, and there's this one little boy, probably maybe 3 or 4, who was in the stroller or whatever and was and was doing this and was just like losing his stuff. And there's a dad just standing there. And, for a while I can tolerate, I always feel bad for parents. I'm like, oh, I used to be like, come on. But now, especially having been a nanny and having so many friends with children and just understanding that children can't help it, and that they need someone to help them regulate their emotions. I was like, okay, he's letting them cry it out for a while. But this kid didn't stop. This kid was full screaming tantrum 15 minutes at least. The dad not only did nothing, he stood there and was just, not only did he not want to do anything, he didn't care that this entire, this is like, there was like all these cafes around and people are there and I could barely hear my friend talk because it was so disturbing, right? And I was thinking, I wonder where that mom is. I always want to know the backstory of this family. But you know what? Before she finally came back and handled it, because he would not, and you will never convince me it's because he didn't know what to do. He didn't care. Anybody with a brain would be like, oh, child. Oh my God, I have a stain all over my shirt. Oh, that's water. Sorry. Clearly, I do not look in the mirror before I go push record. Anyway, the kid needed, whatever. Maybe you let him cry out for a little bit. I don't know. But like, this child was inconsolable. And having not even had children myself, but just known enough. I have 3 nieces and a nephew, and I worked with enough children, and I nannied for a while, but I've never even had children. So this man he has children. One thing I noticed is that children sometimes, and also having grown up an alcoholic, distraction is everything. When they just are fixated on something, oh, hey, what about that? Look over there. Now, it doesn't always work, but it's a good tactic. Or, I don't know, talking to them, whatever. This man did nothing. And then finally, what happened? A woman with a dog came by and brought her dog over to the boy. Guess what? Boy stops crying. He's like, oh, doggy, pet doggy. And so this woman parented this man's child because he would not. And I was like, of course, this is what they do. Even though I am child free. Do you know how many people I have to parent? Do you know how many men that expect me to parent them? Or the men with children who won't do anything? So then if they won't do it, some other women have to swoop in and do that work for them. This woman, and then another woman came up. Once the dog, because the kid started crying again once the dog left. So then another woman up tried to console. And then finally, when the mom came back, guess who dealt with the child? This man. This is like weaponized incompetence, or just, I don't care, but you will never convince me that man was not punishing her for leaving him and going into the boulangerie to get the cake. She's gone too long and he's not dealing with this. Don't you dare leave me with this kid alone again. That is what they're doing. He does not want to solve the problem. He does not want to be reliable with that child because he doesn't want to be expected to do that. And he wants her to be worried about leaving him alone too long with that child. That is what he's doing. You will never convince me that it was so uncomfortable for everyone around watching this child flail and this man do nothing. He just held his little poker face and looked elsewhere while all of us sat and dealt with this anxiety of this child and felt bad for this child and problem solved for this child because dad would not. And then as soon as the mom comes out, guess who's embarrassed? This man was not embarrassed at all. He was no shame. She's the one who looks bad for letting him stay alone with his own child. I don't know, but I could tell she was so embarrassed and she immediately was trying to solve this problem. That was intentional. This is what these men do. They don't want you to trust them alone with the children because either A, they don't want to be forced to stay home with children, or they don't even like them. They don't care. Oftentimes, it's both. And even if it's not children, I was at the beach this summer, just minding my business, reading a book. Didn't have cell phone service, so I could not work on this platform. Forced vacation on my vacation because I have a hard time disciplining me and most women I know have a hard time not working. We don't have to motivate us to work. We have a hard time not working. That's the difference, right? And some man comes out of nowhere. and hands me his keys and speaking French to me. And I'm like, what? He kept saying stuff and I understood the words, but I'm like, why is he asking me that? Which is why it was so funny. He's thinking this is a language thing. And I'm thinking, surely this is a language barrier, because surely this man that I do not know is not asking me to hold his keys. I was like, pourquoi? Mais j'ai pas compris. Pourquoi? And he's like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, donc, you want me, I said in French, of course, you want me to just hold your keys while you go swim? Yeah. I was like, seriously? Like, what? You know, I thought it was a joke. So, I mean, I was like, okay. And I held him like this. And then I just put him on the sand because I'm like, no, I'm not holding these. I will like let them sit next to me, but I'm just going to hold his keys, stop reading my book while he does whatever it is he's doing. Oh, I thought he wanted to wash his feet off in the sand. Oh, I looked it up because I wanted you to see. I'm not kidding. This man handed me those and then went over there. And I was like, of course he did. Of course he did. He handed me his little BMW keys with tape on them so that they wouldn't get wet in his pocket while he went and swam. Why did he ask me to do this? I am a woman minding my own business, reading a book. Why ask me? Why? Why didn't he ask a man? Because men don't trust men, nor should they. And because a man would be like, why would I hold that? I actually held it almost as an experiment to see how long this stranger felt entitled to my labor. It's not much, but it's still my time. Am I like, what? Why am I babysitting keys? He might as well have handed me a baby. I'm surprised he didn't hand me a baby because men would do that. The way that man, just the other day, literally let some woman with a dog and then another woman come and comfort his child because he didn't think he should have to. So I even had someone from Sweden chime in here. I'm Swedish and my mom worked in HR and thus dealt with a lot of parental leave. The amount of time she saw men who treated it as a free vacation time and not a time to take care of their kids was staggering. My ex tried to claim he was going to be a stay-at-home dad. The first week I was back to work, he called me every day begging that I come back because he can't handle an infant that can't move. Mind you, this is the man who's not even like breastfeeding or any of that stuff. Someone at my dad's job used his paternity leave to go to Fiji while his wife and newborn stay at home. My 100%, my ex said he was running to exhaust the tapes of anxiety thoughts in his head while training for an ultramarathon 8 to 12 hours a week. And the same amount of time on video games with his son. I'm in the UK and men get 2 weeks of paternity leave. Not great, but it is what it is. I think that's what they get here in France too now. I work in IT, so 95% of my colleagues are men. I've never known a single one to take that 2 weeks. So they either won't take it because of their pride, because it looks bad, whatever, or they do take it and they do nothing. Or, and this is some, not enough, but some will take it and do what they're supposed to do, which is everything to make her life better and easier. Do all the stuff, all the chores, like prepare everything, do the meals, do the shopping, so that all she has to do is rest from this traumatizing experience of childbirth, some of it being tiny T, some of it being holy crap, almost or died on the table T, and the hormones and the depression and all of the stuff that's coming with that and the breastfeeding and all that make her life as easy as possible. If he's not your number one fan, which means he wants you to thrive at everything you do and be happy, he's your number one hater. My baby daddy played video games his whole paternity leave and wondered why I was upset all the time. He would sap at me to take care of our kid because he was too into gaming. I don't know what sap means. Snap? Maybe that means snap, whatever. I don't understand a lot of the lingo, like abbreviations. So that ages me a little bit, but here's another good point. Because it's not just with paternity leave, a lot of military men will do this for deployment. My brother went on a year military deployment after his first child that he could have opted out of. For his second child, he lied to my now ex-sister-in-law and told her that his job didn't offer paternity leave. These military men will do this all the time. I got to do a whole video on military men. Woo! Not all. But a lot of these men, There's so much domestic violence in that community. Believe me, I have met and worked with a lot of women who are trying to write their stories, because there's a lot of American military bases in Germany, especially, and a lot of women are living in Germany because of him, and boy, do they have some stories. It's just the U.S. military. I mean, but clearly this is a problem around. Like Bougie says, the dust is global. This woman said, my husband, who's Australian military, has a whole bunch of men around him jumping at the chance to go on a training or deployment so they miss the birth of their kids. And a few months after. Imagine being like, I know, send me to war so I don't have to be at home with the child. Like, that is crazy. That is crazy. Send me to the desert. I can be with my boys and get shot at, but at least I'm with people I actually want to be around. Where's the lie? One guy apparently even asked for his name to be put down for a 3-month trip to the U.S. so that he wasn't expected to be there for the birth of his second child because seeing him the first time made him uncomfortable. My husband took paternity leave. It was the worst. I just wanted him out of the house. He was the opposite of support. My ex took paternal leave when I had twins and we had 2 older kids. Oh my God, twins. The first month my mom was there. Then I had a friend help for a week. But by 12 weeks, I was doing everything and he was gaming. And this is what I mean, y'all. So you know what? This is why, like, I really wish women who had children, some of them are really hard on women like me who don't want children. I think a lot of that is jealousy, because they were tricked. They did not know what they were signing up for. And now they're like, this is unfair and I hate this. And now I'm stuck. So they don't, a lot of times, not all, but a lot of times don't like the child-free movement because it seems unfair, right? Misery loves company. But you know why we need women? We need single women like me, not single, child-free women like me, child-free couples like me and Anthony, is because we provide support for other moms who need it. Unfortunately, we end up providing support for moms sometimes who the men just won't do it. But this is what we do. Women end up working so much, not just for all the men in their lives. And we just work. We work and work and work and work and work and work until the day we die. Even when we're retired, all we do is work. That's why retired men, unemployed men, men on paternity leave can be some of the most dangerous men in your life and a menace to society. If they are not very self-disciplined and have not been unpacking that entitlement, they will make multiple women's lives harder. But what sucks is when you are having, even if you don't center men and you don't give men free labor unless you're forced to somehow, you end up still centering men by proxy. You still end up doing free labor for men because they won't help the woman that you love, whether it's your friend, your sister, or someone else. It's ridiculous. I married a feminist. I was a breadwinner and responsible for all domestic citizens. He's a professional musician on tour, rehearsing all times, and lives his best life nightmare. That's what I say. Musicians, climbers, any of the gamers, like any of these men, but like especially musicians who are like, oh my God. Y'all keep asking me to do one. Well, Dave Grohl. I already did one on a musician, but I am telling you, so many men. Oh my God, look at my face in that. I'm like, I also, I'll go over some of these individually. There's so many am I the a-holes of men doing this. Would I mean an asshole if I used my paternity leave to go visit my family? If I used it to go travel the world? There's so many men being like, would I be? Yeah, bro. There's so many on Reddit. So many women being like, what is this? I thought we wanted this. And again, paternity leave, when used the right way, is amazing. But there are so many men who actually use paternity leave to make the women in their lives harder. Look at this. I found this. New study, the benefits of paternity leave after a divorce. After a divorce. It talks about how paternity leave can help fathers after a divorce to improve their relationship with their children. They're like, yeah, there's the benefits after a child is born for paternity leave. But studies have shown that a lot of men actually need paternity leave after these women divorce them. Especially if the kids are under 5. Because the men are all of a sudden like, wait, I have joint custody, but like, I don't know what to do. So they have to take paternity leave. You know what is so fun? I've seen so many women say that their ex-husbands are amazing fathers now that they're not married. Because as long as they had a woman in the home to default to and just force all that labor onto, why would they show up? Why would they parent when they know she will because he won't? And then when they have no other option, like divorce and custody, now they have to take paternity leave. So the reason why I first started reading this is because it was talking about how it's the statistics are showing that fathers who take paternity leave to spend time with their children, their newborn children, are 25% less likely to see their marriage end within a few years. There's evidence that a father's leave taking is associated with more stable parental relationships. This study also found that taking 2 weeks of leave or less is most likely to reduce the risk of relationship dissolution, as couples were 29% less likely to end their relationship when the fathers took 1 week of leave and 25% less if the fathers took 2. Oh, okay, so let's see. They seem to be more likely to be left by their wives the more time they take. Okay, just look at this. 29% less likely for divorce if the fathers take 1 week of leave. 25% less likely if the fathers take 2 weeks. However, they found that taking 3 weeks or more of leave was unrelated to stability. I swear, when I read these statistics, I'm like, they are coming so close to the point. Like, they're like, like the whole point of this article is men don't get divorced if they take paternity leave. But then they're saying the more leave that men take, the more likely they're going to get divorced. Why do you think that is? Could it be that a woman who spends more than a week or two with her husband, watching him get bored with having to do this parent stuff and then increasingly suck more and more, sees his true nature in those moments and is like, I hate this. I hate you. How could you? So some of these men taking month, year, 9 months, however, they're like, wow. To watch a man sit there and do nothing as he watches you do everything, that is a level of betrayal that is very hard to get over. Especially if this is if you have a newborn. So back to this lawyer's article. Researchers are suggesting that employers should reassess their workplace models after a family welcomes a new child or after divorce. And they don't mean for the women, they mean for the men. Hey, maybe you should offer paternity leave for men after they get a divorce because they didn't want to be fathers and it took a divorce to force them to become fathers. That is what that says. They won't say it, but that's what that says. So even though you have all these articles, couples, they're more likely to survive if fathers take it, but not too much, because after a couple weeks, they get bored because parenting is boring. It's exhausting and boring. It's overwhelming and underwhelming at the same time. It's all these things, and men are like, and they don't value it anyway because it's women's work. So the longer men are on this paternity leave, unless they are very involved fathers who really have checked their entitlement and really want children and love their partners, they are going to slowly start taking the paternity leave and turning it into a vacation. That is why that stigma exists. There's just Google it. Paternity leave, vacation, those words. And they'll be, why do they stop saying that it's a vacation? Why do you think that has that stigma? It's other men thinking these men are on vacation because that's what they would do. And it's also women realizing, wow, this man thinks it's a vacation. It never occurred to him that he can't go on a solo backpacking trip during his 6 months off because he thinks it's his time, not the family time. There are so many articles like this. Husband wants to use paternity leave for solo travel. A lot of men won't even take paternity leave unless they realize they get a big chunk of it. And then they're like, yeah, I'm going to go climb El Cap. Here's the thing. Is that women who are like, there's all these women online who are like, I wish he wouldn't take paternity leave to go on vacation. But if she says don't do that, guess who's the bad guy? You know, it's so unfair is women don't want to have to say, no, you shouldn't do that because that's selfish. This is how they make us into their mothers. Why should we have to say, you should want to be home with your child? You should not feel like this is a good idea. You should not even be asking me permission to do this because the fact that you think this is okay, and now you're going to blame me for saying no to this rather than yourself for coming up with this idea. This is how men will make women into the like, no, Timmy, you can't do that. They make us baby them. Oh, king baby. There's all these posts, paternity leave. Did your husband take it? And what did he do with his time off? And that's even the frame. It is not time off. Paternity leave, they're supposed to work. But at home, men just don't want to work. Studies and studies and studies and women's lived experience have shown they don't want to work in the home. They don't think they should have to. They want you to work in the home. They value what you do unless you ask to be paid for it or you ask them to do the same thing. And then all of a sudden, they don't know, what? You just sit home and watch TV all the time. And there's even men who will call maternity leave sexist. Like, why do women get time off? Because it doesn't occur to them how much work we're doing. And even if it does occur to them, they don't want to do it. Sexist to get time off from literally giving birth and almost dying, possibly dying. God. This one woman said he considered it to be his time and was irritated that he didn't get done what he had planned to do because I wanted him to come to the hospital each morning. I was 5 days after a C-section and look after the baby while I shower. Why do I have to watch the baby so you can shower? The second time he was pissed because he wanted to go to IKEA all day and just look at IKEA stuff, even though it's an hour away. Like, this one man is a nightmare, and this is like so many men are like this. He met his friends for lunch regularly, and then whenever she pressed him for like, hey, you're like doing all this stuff that's like fun, and I'm working here. Oh, you know what? My boss sent me work. I've got to work. These men can't wait to go back to work. If you call them out on them doing nothing or not enough, now all of a sudden they want to go back to work and they don't want the paternity leave. If you challenge them going to IKEA all day or Patagonia for 9 months, they're like, what? That's not fair. Maybe I'll just go back to work. Thank you, please. If this is what you're going to do, please go back to work. There's some men who will complain, I'm here to look after the child, not you. As if the woman is not completely... I don't even need to explain this, do I? So many women say it was so much easier when they went back. So many women couldn't handle these men being home more than 2 weeks because it's like having an unemployed man in the home. A nightmare. Ask any woman who has lived with an unemployed man who was between jobs or whatever. That is when they become the worst versions of themselves. So do you think that's going to change on paternity leave? No. They're getting paid to stay home and do nothing unless the wife makes them do stuff. This one woman's story on today's parents. My husband joined me on maternity leave to help with our baby, but honestly, it wasn't great. She's being very kind to her husband in this article. But this man wanted to spend time with their last baby and be there for the milestones because he hadn't for the first two because he was just working. Or, I mean, I would argue not just working, just not doing enough when he came home. And this man got 93% pay for 9 months. But she hated it. She hated it. And a lot of women are like, well, you know, why would we not take this? The same reason why women are like, please don't retire. You know, you really want to retire? Please don't retire because you're going to be in my face, in my space all the time, doing nothing and me watching you do nothing. He'd never had a longer break from his career and he's ready for a temporary change of pace. But like I said in the beginning, a lot of these men do not know what to do with their spare time. They do not know how to discipline themselves. They do not know what to do when someone isn't telling them what to do because most men are not leaders. So when you do have someone in the home who also thinks he knows more than you, even though this is your domain, because like this was a stay-at-home mom. So he comes in to help and all he does is create chaos. You know, she said, feels like I have one more person to manage. She's used to tracking library books, bill payments, sports signups, birthday parties, baby needs, and my job. Oh my God, she works too. Now she's out there delegating chores and he's always like, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? That word help in and of itself is annoying. And the thing is that this was a man in their home that was delegating, they would be great. But when women are delegating chores to men, that entitlement of like, but I'm better because I'm a man makes them be awful at their jobs. A lot of times when they have a female boss in the home, especially because they don't value domestic work. Then there's this. I'm reluctant to let him make dinner because it takes him twice as long as it takes me, and I end up juggling 3 kids while he cuts the veggies into teeny tiny pieces. He's reorganizing my pantry, my kitchen drawer. I feel like myself is being my space is being invaded. And she said that even though her husband actually had conversations with the other 2 kids and kind of got to know them and actually learned the names of their parents' friends, it wasn't worth it. That leads me to my last point, and I could do 10 videos on this. One of the number 1 causes of divorce, if not the number 1, I forget, is unemployed husband or paternity leave or retirement. I don't put that in quotes, retirement. Unemployed or men who are unemployed or part-time are 33% more likely to divorce within a year. Why do you think that is? Well, money being one, the psychology of being with a depressed man, and him not doing anything more around the home and watching more TV. That's why. Let me know if you want that video, because I have some stories I want to show you about women trying to date men. And this is going to get worse and worse, y'all. As Bourbon Bougie talks about the NEETs, N-E-E-T, not employed or in education or training. This is going to become a big problem. So, sure, financial abuse can be men who have all the money and whatever and are richer and whatever, but I don't really know many women who are in that situation unless they're stay-at-home moms. Do you know how many women I know who've been financially abused by bums in their home? Men who won't work or will work just the bare minimum and provide more work for the women and not even any money for them. So anyway, this will always be an ongoing theme for me as someone who's experienced financial abuse from dating a hobosexual, literal rode the rails like a cartoon for 9 years. This is a big topic for me and I know a lot about it. Anyway, let me know if you heard the comment song. Sorry, I did one this week and then I edited it so the comment song was like 2 minutes after silence. I don't know. That was the one about the shamelessly bad in bed video. So if you watched it and you hear the comment song, you can go back and forward it to the very end because the comment song is whatever. Please follow my Patreon. That's what's really supporting me being able to do this work right now. And if you can't afford a tier, just join it so you can get updates from me when I release videos. Sometimes I share photos and stuff just for fun. I do Mo's updates like when he was kind of partially paralyzed. Yeah, like, comment, share, anything you can to help support my work to get it out to my subs because the algorithm is sometimes not algorithming very well. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you've had, especially in the comments, if you've had, and there's plenty of good experiences with stay-at-home dads or men on paternity leave. I'm not saying that they're not. But we need to talk about how many men do not use that time the way it was meant for. And all it does is make women's lives harder. Just stay at work. Don't take time off if you're not going to, if you're not going to make her life easier, stay at work. Anyway, thanks for listening. Et voila! Toot toot. This is the comment song, Castle Edition. Castle, castle, castle. Look at the castle. Anthony pulled over to let me take a photo of the castle. That's crazy. A castle on the road just driving around, but that's kind of France. It's crazy. They got castles just coming out their butt. Everywhere, everywhere. French people aren't as impressed as me because they're everywhere. Just another freaking castle. The keys, the keys, the keys, keys, keys. Can you believe this man made me hold his stupid keys? Well, he did make me. Anyway, this is from today. I'm gonna do a video on my Patreon about it. This is Cremière. What's the name of it? Cremière? Whatever. I don't know. The comment song. If you're new here, I sing dumb songs, random photos and videos to entertain you all while you tap a comment or story or whatever. Let me know if you heard the comment song. Comment song. Et voila. Bye.